Can break idea.
So, all right. How's it going?
What up? What up? How are you?
Doing
Happy
well.
Monday. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Oh yeah. Um, bet. So, how long have you been working at Vader? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just dive right in. Oh yeah. No, tell me about how you did you always want to work in like music and not to just make it about work. I'm just curious. Like, I feel like I met you at a time where like we were kind of in a similar place, just like age wise and just lifestyle wise and shit. And so it was cool to connect in that moment. But I didn't know you before then, so I feel like it's cool to like hear about how you got. I know you made music and you went to like school upstate New York and stuff like that, but like, what was that process like? Like, who did you look up to as a kid?
Yeah. Growing up, you know, I was always interested in music, always interested in creating music, and I was very curious about how songs became hits. Um, and I looked up to people like, Scooter Braun and in my later years, like, marketing people like Gary Vee and whatnot. But growing up, I played instruments. Elementary school played violin, albeit not very good at it, and then picked up guitar. Wasn't very good at that either. Did piano in college. Produced, DJ, did that whole run of the mill from like high school to college. I was a DJ. Performed in nightclubs, bars, some small festivals, and that was kind of my journey into the music industry from a broader scope. And then I went to college at SUNY Fredonia, a very small school upstate, and I was going as a comp sci major. And 1 year in, like after the back half of the second semester, when it was time to pick your classes for the fall semester, the next year I was like, "Fuck this, man! Like I can't do comp sci. I hate it." And one of my fraternity brothers told me, "Yo, I just switched my major. You should really consider this. It's music industry major." And it just like right then and there, I didn't even like contemplate it. I remember calling my dad in my car, and I was like, I didn't really ask for permission. I was just like, "Hey, I'm making this change. Like, I'm gonna do a music industry major." And luckily, I'm very blessed. My parents were very supportive. And yeah, I made that switch, and it's been a very interesting journey. Musical journey. I felt like I've always, I don't know whether I was like when I was DJing and producing to, the industry side of things or whatever. I always maybe try to not run away from music, but it always came back. And I don't know, I feel like it's just a destiny thing where it's like, yo, I'm meant to be in the industry and do this, and I love it every single day, and I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful. It's a long-winded answer, but that's just a little context about my upbringing in music at a very not kind of detailed, but not really in that scope.
What so it sounds like you felt that that decision to change your major was more than just like a major decision, which makes sense, I guess. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, how many people studied one thing and then do something completely like Tim Ferriss studied East Asian studies and he's a you know what I mean? Like what he's obviously speaks Japanese and stuff, but like the point is it doesn't always correlate to your career. Did you it sounds like that decision was like you almost needed an opportunity to justify doing music in some capacity, and that was that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it was very interesting too, because like I didn't really think about it at the time. Like I didn't think like it was really like when I made that switch, I was like, oh, I want to be an A&R. Oh, I want to do this. But in retrospect, thinking back now, I was like, I was starting like record labels with my friends as a kid when they made music and I made music, and we'd all release records together and market it. And I probably have made like maybe 3 or 4 labels as a kid. They definitely failed and definitely like wasn't like a professional label and everything, but it was just kind of an interesting like, I never considered that a real career path. I never knew it was like a real career path like that until I don't know if it was maybe being in the environment I was, which is a small town where, a lot of people are comfortable with their 9 to 5 and there's no real entertainment industry there or whatever. Um, I don't know if that was the reasoning behind that, but yeah, this is definitely interesting. It was definitely a life choice, like you said. Um, still, you know, picking up on a lot of things along the way. But yeah,
So, where were you working right after college? Before you
so I was work.
set the crate
I was
long
yeah,
shot DM?
yeah. So I was working at a pharmaceutical marketing um in basically like pharmaceutical telemarketing, basically just trying to assist the pharmaceutical salespeople. It was calling doctors, emailing doctors and their admins, and trying to set up stuff for the salespeople. Um, and I hated it. I did that for about 3 months. It was the first and only job offer I got out of college, and I don't, it shows you a lot about the company when you graduate with a music business degree and they give you an offer. But it's good people over there. But this wasn't for me specifically. Did that for like 3 months, and um, yeah,
So
was
then,
probably the worst three months of my life because I hated every day going into work for 8 hours a day.
so what changed? How did you didn't get fired?
No. So what changed was one day I was dating a girl. She lived in New York City, and I came down to visit her and spend time in Manhattan for a few days and in Queens. And I came back and I was like, man, there's so much opportunity out here and the
Mm.
energy is there. I just knew I had to be there. So this was like, I think the next day I came back from New York. This was like 9 a.m., just got on the clock, already dreading the day ahead of me. And I saw Gary Vee was active on Twitter, and he followed me because I was a little active in the V Friends community before the drop, the V Friends Series 1 drop. And I DM'd him. I was like, hey, uh, I'll read it for verbatim. It's I will work for you for free, or I will quit my job right now to work for you for free. If it's not the best hire you've ever made, I'll pay you for wasting your time. And that was the DM. And I think within 4 minutes, he responded, um, threw me in a group chat. And, the next day I had a call with my soon to be boss, Tyler, at the time. And then later, Mike Boyd, my current boss. And yeah, it was about 3 weeks later. I moved out to New York City and started my journey here. And it was all just because of a DM and
So crazy.
a fuck ton of luck. Luck is definitely um, a big contributor to that. But I think also, I feel like this is something we discuss a lot. It's definitely like luck, but it's also paired with like the work, and like
Mm.
I wouldn't have gotten lucky if I never sent that DM. I never like that DM was the work right there. And then,
Well,
you know,
you also he also had followed you to your point, predicated on you being active in his community.
exactly
So
true.
it's like the Steve Jobs quote, like you look back and you connect the dots. You couldn't have been like, oh, all right, I'm gonna be active
Yeah.
in his community. I fucking hate my job, and then I'm gonna DM him when I see he's online. Like, it sounds like until you had been in New York City, and that juxtaposed with like you just feeling stuck at the job that you hated, but like you didn't feel fulfillment in any capacity. That so okay. So what? How did you first like find Gary? Like, I guess I mean he just pops up. He's a freaking.
Yeah. I definitely remember seeing him like maybe like high school, freshman year of college, but it was really my sophomore year, when I made that switch to music industry. And um, he was, uh, it was I'm sure he was buzzing at the moment, in social, but I was actually working on a startup label at a time at school. I had an investor who was just like, he was just a tech guy, and he had some money he wanted to invest in artists. And I was like, hey, you know, I would love to help, like, bring you artists, and I can do A&R stuff. You can handle the biz dev and ops of it. And yeah, I'll just give you the artists and we'll put out records. And yeah, I was doing that at the time. And I think Gary was just a very motivational, inspirational person that I looked up to at the time. and still do, but specifically at that time. And yeah.
Why do you think Gary resonates with like? Why do you think Gary resonates so? Because very similar. Like I feel like you have this guy who's just maybe I'm answering my question, but like I'm curious your thoughts now that you've kind of been around the sun that is Gary. Like what is your perspective on you just like outside in still? Like I
Why he
feel
resonates with everybody.
why he resonates with the people he resonates with. What is it about those people like you and me that admire him, and what is it about him that how many people are posting on the internet, but there's something about him,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? What do you think it is?
I'm probably wrong, but I think there's two things. I think one is he's just a hustler, and hustlers like real recognizes real. It's like, you want to do something bigger than yourself, and you want to hustle and grind and, build a name or a legacy for yourself. And, people resonate with that. And I think the other one is he knows how to break down different perspectives to make it relatable to a wider audience. And I could be completely wrong about that, but like, certain like speeches where people are telling like, you know, a life story or something that may not be relatable to his core audience, he'll like break it down and like say in like, layman's terms so everybody can understand, and like really just like, solidify that and resonate with a wider audience. I think that he does a really good job of that, and that's just my 2 cents. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a million other reasons too. He also has a lot of empathy, so he knows how to connect with humans, and I feel like that's another probably another thing is like, I feel like you're connected to him, in some sort of parasocial way on the internet.
That's a good point. Okay, you did violin when in elementary school? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
For how
I
long?
did violin. I did it for I think a year or two, maybe. I don't know. I was in the first group, and I was the last chair in the first group. So I was like the worst person in the first group, and I never practiced, and it was bad. Like I tried, but I just wasn't good at it. And
Did you play sports?
yeah. Um I played a lot of like intramural sports. I never did anything in school, but like I played hockey up until like 10th or 11th grade. Um played soccer, baseball, lacrosse. It was really once I got I broke my leg a few times in high school, and that's kind of when I stopped being active
So what?
in
Okay, so
sports.
what would be on your iPod or like I'm dating us, but like what would be on your iPod or your playlist or like you know what I mean, circa elementary school or middle school, high school. You know,
Middle
like
school, dude. Yeah,
what
dude.
was
I
like?
know
Go ahead.
the one song that like I remember walking to lacrosse this was like 8th grade. I was on the lacrosse team, and I would walk uh to high school to go practice, and uh every time I'd always play Love Me by Lil Wayne, Drake, and
Great.
Future every day during that walk. And I don't know, I just love that song.
So
And a lot of Lil Wayne, a lot of Drake, Eminem when maybe 2009. All the goats from back in the 2010 era, like those are the people I listen to all the time.
are you the kind of person that's listening to a single? Like, if you find a song you love, are you listening to it on repeat until you get sick of it? Or are you,
Yeah,
yeah. Do you think that's
yeah,
common?
yeah.
Or, because I feel
I
like,
think so. Go ahead.
I'm just curious. I don't know. I feel like I'm the exact same way. Like the new Drake and Young Thug song, or new as of right now, but like I listened to it probably 10 times already. It just hit. It's like when the Drake and 21 Savage, when A Lot came out. I was
Yeah.
like,
Which one? Which feature is the one that you're listening to?
the Drake and Young Thug. Oh, fair, good point.
Hmm.
No, was it you? Something you went, not Cleveland, not the Cleveland one. Oh, you went. Oh, you went.
Okay. Oh, you went. Yeah.
It just hit, and that's like I've
Man, oh
listened to
man.
it 10 times. Yeah, the beat's crazy. Like But
Yeah.
I don't know. Just I feel like the way people listen to music now. What are your thoughts on that? I know you know a lot of you studied this shit.
Not like that, not like that. Maybe like, now that you mention it, I'm thinking like, what if it's like the people inside music that are like like
Mm.
obsessed with it, and they're just like, I don't know. I know some people that do the same thing, and then some people that like can't. So I guess to each their own. It's like, I don't know. I guess it's just more of a consumption thing than um I don't know. That's a great
It's
question though. I'm
it's
gonna
so
look into that because it's
well. You just made me think because like the whole consumption of music, right? Like what dictates how people consume a thing is the vessel in which the thing is distributed. So ice cream is distributed in a bowl or a cone. If you saw ice cream on a plate, it would be like a little weird unless it was like a nice restaurant. There was like whatever things on it, and it's like that's just the vibe of the restaurant. But like, there's it's the same thing, kind of like with music, where it's like it's weird to like hand out CDs now because you go where the attention is. People are on Spotify. Like the consumption is contingent on the distribution, which is Spotify or streaming, right? Or I don't know. It's just interesting because that evolves. So it's like the artist process evolves as well in how they create. Like Russ, like I just saw Russ is in the studio with Dre on his Instagram. Like to me, it's just like, and Dre's speech for like the Songwriter Hall of Fame was like something about quality over quantity. And this is controversial. Like everyone has an opinion about this, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I love the I don't know. I guess I'm curious on your thoughts about not necessarily quality versus quantity, but and obviously he's an anomaly, but
Yeah. So for quality versus quantity, I think it's really like, it's not like and or like it's not black and
right,
white, but it's like
right,
and like it's and. It's like
quality.
um
So
but I guess it's like it depends on what you or what let's say you're an artist, I mean you are an artist. Let's say you're debating that. It's like what brand, what image, like the longevity of your career, what do you want to do? Because you have artists like Drake that release an album once a year, but then you got an artist like NBA young boy NBA. He's dropping 7 albums a year, like literally 7 albums a year. Um, and it's like, how do you want to play it? Because Drake's obviously charting everything. Like his album will chart, all the songs will chart. Youngboy will still chart, but you'll have like one massive single for like every album. So, you know, you got to also think about the consumer at the end of the day. It's like how many consumers are going to listen to one Drake album as opposed to, 7 Youngboy albums throughout the year. Um, it's just a lot of different things to
well,
consider, and like
you make me think
go.
because I so today's day one for 75 Hard. So I've been reading this book. I have it right here conveniently. Have you read this? The 50th Law with Robert Greene and 50 Cent?
I have not, but I do like the
Dude,
49
you would
laws.
like this. You would really like this too. I feel like you'd like this. If
It's
I'm being
just
right.
I think it's crazy that he wrote a whole book about 49 laws and then he wrote a book about the 50th law, and it's its own entire book. It makes you think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and it's with 50 Cent. It's literally on the top of the thing. It says the hip hop entrepreneur book.
Oh yeah, yeah. He mentioned that in Mastery. That he wrote 50th law with 50 Cent.
Yeah. And so the reason I bring it up is because the last thing I read for the 10 pages talked about copying uh other people. Like we talk about Drake, we talk about Russ, like we talk about all these people, and it's like our frame of reference is based on what we know and what we've seen. And if we're trying to like to your point about NBA Youngboy, the reason you use him as the example is because it's unprecedented. No one has done that before. So we use him as an example because he trailblazed his own path to a place that was lucrative, to your point about like it's subjective because that works for him. I
Yeah.
don't know. It
Works for
just
Future too. Future,
Yeah.
Future back in like 2016, 2017 had a run where he was dropping like every 3 months, even some weeks back to back,
So interesting. It's so funny too, talking to artists who just have different approaches. Like I empathize with
Yeah.
every
I
approach.
think yeah, maybe even has to do with subject matter too, where it's like a Future, a Young Boy talk about things that aren't as, their topics are definitely different than like a Future, like like a Jack Harlow type of artist.
Hmm. So interesting.
I don't know. It's just a theory. I don't like, I think that, I don't know. If you're gonna, I guess my take is like, yo, if you're gonna drop, let's say, for example, the extreme young boy, like 7 albums, yo, just drop more TikToks, man. Like, take the best songs out of those 7 albums, like spend more time on it, like a single piece or 2 albums, and just focus on making more content that's gonna
Hmm.
distribute your brand to the masses, a perfect top funnel. But that's just the marketing mind in me being like,
So
yo, don't waste your time.
so how
I'm
do
not
you
saying it's a
know
bad thing.
well, how do you know which songs are the good songs? How do you know if you have X amount of songs, how do you know which ones are the best, however many? Is that just getting feedback from other people, or is it a self-awareness thing where you just keep listening to them and then you just say, okay, well, I keep coming back to these 5 or 7 or 10.
Yeah, definitely self-awareness, having your team around you, your publicist, your marketer, your label, and you know, test the market, post snippets on TikTok, have like, one of the big things that like, this is my conspiracy in the music industry, but like all these Drake leaks, they always come right before an album drops. It's like which one's getting the most posts on TikTok, which one's getting the most, you know, highly favorable comments. I feel like it's just Drake's team in the background is pushing a
Mm.
song, a UGC sound just to see like, yo, what song works and what doesn't. Um, because the quantity
User-generated.
of leaks is just,
You
yeah,
say,
user generated content. Yeah. So UGC sound is like when it's not provided by a distributor, and it's when like, let's say you record a song on your phone and you upload it, or like let's say you're editing a video, you drop in a song, an unreleased song, on your video editor, you post it and creates that original sound. That's like a UGC sound, and anybody can
mm.
use it. You can rename it up one time. Um, but back to your question, I feel like it's definitely both.
So interesting. Uh, okay, I kind of want to go deeper on the whole marketing approach. Like you said, okay, what is the best content to make? I'm asking almost selfishly, but maybe someone else will get something out of this too. Like, what is the best content to
Best
make for an artist? Like, instead of releasing
best
all the songs as quote unquote, like throw all the spaghetti on the wall, what is the best content to make instead? Like you're saying, okay, well, instead of doing that, take the best ones and then make more content. What does that look like? Is it storytelling? Is it trends? Is it iteration?
Yeah. I'd say storytelling, something that creates an emotional attachment with your music, with your story, that just creates a little bit more connection. I think trends are important, but I think it's like 80%. It's like the Pareto's law, 80% like, storytelling, building connection, 20% trends. And that 20% will definitely help you expand that audience, and then, weed out the ones that like, that's going to bring in people, the trends, and then, your storytelling will weed out people and, create new connections, create new fans. But
So
yeah, I think storytelling is key.
so artists are not content creators. Artists are publicists. Because it's like I feel like before it's like, hey, you're on a label, or let's assume you're on a label. I guess it's like you have to figure out the story behind this project that you're not selling people, but that gets people to give a fuck. Obviously, if the music's amazing, it
Yeah.
just hits and you just feel it, like for sure. But are you just gonna rely on the music, or are you gonna try to help the music live the life by putting it into a story, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, the story's important. I think it's like the lifeblood of any song. And I don't think it's like it doesn't require a crazy story to make something pop. I think sometimes simplicity is key, makes it more relatable to a wider audience, cast a wider net. Um,
Like what? What's
Definitely. Like one example is the country, I guess like the country singer Chase McDaniel. I'll give like a name drop at TikTok. Um, he's a good friend. We worked on campaigns with him at VaynerMedia. We've literally witnessed him go from 300 monthly listeners to now he's at like almost 500,000 right now. And that was a span of like, this happened last year. It was a span of like a month or two. So it was a very quick growth. And it was because he posted a video of him saying like, it was, have you ever gone through a bad breakup and had a toxic ex that wants you back, but you're done being her pawn or something like that? And then it's him lip syncing the lyrics and it was in his car. So many people related with that and went viral on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, but which is also interesting, different sidebar. But it went the most viral on Facebook Reels,
that is interesting.
and that's the song that did it for him. And now he's just announced his tour today. So A, congrats to him, and B,
That's
it was
sick.
a simple story that everybody's gone. Everybody, not everybody, but 90% of the population has probably been through a toxic relationship, and it was just the way he worded it, that really helped.
So what do you do after that post? Because something that I think is hard, it can be hard, is like, okay, I've told the story of the song. Do you just tell it again, but now you're in a different location doing the same thing? Because then it's like, hey, now you're just posting content as opposed to like, hey, you're actually, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah, I think you still run the story. You keep running it until it's dry. But then what you do is you start engaging with the audience more. So like you would reply to comments. Like there's this one hip hop duo, they're blowing up on TikTok right now. Flayana Boss. Um, they're based out of LA. They went from 70,000 monthly listeners to 500,000 in 1 week. Like they're seriously on the
that's
rise.
crazy.
And what they did is their song's blowing up on TikTok. Like I think it was because of the videos. I'm not sure if it's a UGC sound or not, or their actual song. I think it's UGC. Could be wrong, but um, they're doing these videos of them like running around, and props to their video team because they have a really cool like it looks very it captures attention very quickly. But what they do is they're running around singing the lyrics to the song, and someone comment like, "Oh, you won't do this in a grocery store," and then they reply to that comment. And they do it in the grocery store, and then people just say crazy things and getting involved in the storyline, getting involved in the promo of it. And they did one today. I was like, "You won't do it in Disneyland." That's exactly what they did, and it's performing very well. And I feel like I feel like at that level, it's like, all right, you had your moment where you had all this exposure and do the algorithms, you're probably going to see it again. Maybe you follow them, they're going to pop up again. The next point is like, all right, let's lower them down into the funnel. Let's get them engaging with you, whether that be a stream, a comment, anything like that. And I feel like you keep doing that until it's dry. And then, whether it be a new release or, a different content style, something like that. But I think you just keep doing it until it doesn't work. I think that's like something Jake did too, with like his mom is a producer, or like him with like certain video content styles. Maybe it was like the, piano in public, or like his piano teacher ones, like that type of thing.
So interesting. That's really
Yeah.
that's insightful. What are
Yeah.
you?
And it's also like, everything I'm saying too is like it's not like set in stone. That's what's so, unique and interesting about the music business. It's like there is no blueprint. It's like all like testing and iteration. And it's like, even like I feel like, you know, music is an art, and then an artist marketing their music is an art. And it's like
100%.
you can have one and you can have you may not have the other, and you might have this one, you might not have the other one. It's
Sure.
just very interesting.
That is
Um
interesting.
Definitely is an art though. Like you have to be a musician and a marketer, and it's just weird to say that. And I mean, not so much recently, but like, you know, if you would have said that 10 years ago, it'd been weird to say.
Right. Yeah. That's so interesting. So so you said when you were younger, you just had affinity towards like hits, and you were just like trying to understand how they were made. Like, what even got you there? What inspiration? Like, what music did you listen to? Was music going on at home? Like, and then also, what
Yeah.
compelled you to say, maybe I lean more towards the art of marketing more than the art of, it sounds like, producing or music creation.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if there's like a defining moment, but where I was like really interested in hits, but or like discovering the curi or my behind my curiosity for how hits are made. But um I listened to a lot of pop growing up. Always had the I remember like from like maybe like 8 to like 13, I just always had the radio on in my room.
Mm.
Like I could have like been looking up music on YouTube because it was around back then. I think I definitely did. I watched music videos on YouTube a lot. Um, but always listening to the radio. Um, and for your second half of the question, I don't know. Is this something where like, you know, at first like trying out producing was exciting, it was fun, but then just got more daunting and exhausting. I just started to enjoy it less and less. Um, and I just was very like, you know, still so curious about, you know, music and how it's made and marketed. And it's still like very interesting too, because there's not like communities around it. There's not a lot of people that talk about it. So like the
Sure.
people that are in it, like there are small communities, but like it's not like a music production community on Reddit or like on Instagram, you know, where they're all sharing tips. It's like, you know, there's probably like a few thousand, you know, people in the world that do music marketing, maybe like 10,000 people in the world that do music marketing, which is interesting.
I feel like you have uh an approach to the music business that's, I know you're intense and you have an insane work ethic, and you can be and I admire all this about you, and you could be like tunnel vision and focused and just like I don't know, just like I don't know, like annihilate anything in your path mode. Um on the other hand, and maybe Gary does this too, and so maybe it's just by being in the orbit. But like, what's your thoughts on, like, because I feel like the music industry has a connotation that's typically like not ingenuine, but it seems like I feel like you're very like, if I fuck with the person or if I fuck with something, I'm gonna just tell them, or I'm gonna rep it, or I'm gonna support it. And I feel like I'm like that too. If I'm at an open mic and I'm like, someone's dope, uh, there's no reason for me to have an ego as an artist to be like, yo, you're fucking fire. Because to me, it's like I'm a fan of music first, and it's like that being said, when we enter the music business, it's like, hey man, it's business. It's like it's this and that, and I understand like people should be compensated for their work and whatever. Uh, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Navigating the space. What have you learned? Like, is it just is maybe attributed to being in the like Vaynersphere, or like I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit,
I
a
guess like
little
what
bit.
do you would you say there's like a connotation of like shadiness in the music industry or like the music business of like I don't know. I feel like it's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, of course. I think it's definitely in music. I think it's also in like the entertainment in general, and like
Sure.
really any business where relationships are you know, a scalable factor in your career.
Mm,
And I think, you know, music and entertainment is like definitely one of them. And um but that's not to say there's not good people out there and that don't want to actually like, you know, they genuinely want to help. And I think the key thing is to like, hey, like no matter what, just, you know, be genuine, be authentic and have empathy for others, um I think that's the key to like doing it, because I hear this a lot, and I kind of witnessed it for the first time like a few months ago. But it's like people that shit on you on the way up are the people you see. Sorry, people that shit on you. Fuck, what is it? Um, People shit on you that are on the way up. Is like something like you'll see them on the way down when you're on the way up. You know what I'm saying? I definitely fucked that quote up, but
I kind of get what you're saying.
yeah. Trying to see if I definitely wrote it down somewhere, but I'm trying to find it.
Well, there's a quote. It's like, no one doing better than you is talking shit about you. No,
Exactly.
no
Exactly.
one hating on you is doing better than you. And like maybe they have more money, maybe they have more streams, maybe they have more clout, but like, are they actually doing better if they're taking time out of their limited time, which is their most valuable resource, to like give you energy in a negative way?
Exactly.
Like instead of working on making something dope, they're using their energy to like just put someone down. Are they actually better? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
What has surprised you about like yourself?
About myself,
Yeah,
um,
since I don't know. I guess yeah, recently since moving to the city.
I would say I'm very surprised at how fast I can like solve certain problems. I just never knew that about myself. It's like very weird, but I don't know. I'm a fast problem solver. I get things done really fast, sometimes maybe a little too fast. Um,
What do you mean?
where it's like, hey, like I don't know, like let's say for example, I have like an assignment that's like due at the end of like next week, and I'll have it done within like a day. I'm like, oh, like for example, we do these like I did a all the we did something with Pepsi Music Lab artists. It was I think 13 of them, and it's like, hey, we need all these reports done for these artists because we're doing these deliverables, and it's gonna be a part of that. And I did every single one of them in maybe like 4 days, and I'm like, all right, like these artist reports are like 12 pages long each. I was busting like 2 or 3 out a day. Like I'm exporting all this data, I'm making charts, I'm making graphs, I'm linking things out, you know. Um, so I don't know. Back to like I don't know. Sometimes when I'm just laser focused, I can get stuff done. Um, yeah.
What excites you about that? Like what gets you into that zone? Like I feel like what makes you want to sit down and work, or like I know you have your newsletter and like find new artists, or like chop it up and meet new artists, or try to help people with their marketing. Like what about that is cool to you as opposed to just like scrolling on TikTok, or like fucking just going out and just trying to maintain status quo? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it's like knowing in the back of my mind, like, hey, I'm helping this artist, or, I get to add value in some way that I wouldn't have been able to before. I think that's like the main thing. It's like, you know, any opportunity to add value, you know, even with no expectation, especially with no expectation, I think it just fires me up because, I'm just I feels like I'm leaving the world at a better place than it than it was beforehand,
How
just helping other people.
how do you balance not overextending yourself and also being able to show up for other people in a way where you don't expect something in return?
I think it's about managing expectations, not having any expectations, and definitely setting limits and, boundaries. I think those are the two things. And it's kind of like a game that you have to play with yourself to like, go through it a little bit to see like, all right, like this is what works for me and this is what doesn't.
Do you think there's there's so much music out now, right? Like there's literally like I'm sure you know the fucking numbers, but like
Yeah, you want to know? You
not
want a
really,
number drop?
not really.
All right, all right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
100,000 new songs uploaded to DSP every single day. 100,000.
That's crazy. My mind doesn't register that. I don't know if that's just ego or what it is. If it's just like delusion or if it's just like because I feel like so many people go, oh, 100,000. Like it was 40 like a few months ago or like a year or two ago, and then 50, and then 100,000 a day is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I don't know. I guess I'm curious. I guess the question I'm curious is like, is there room for can everyone eat if there's 100,000 songs? There's only so many venues. There's only so much time in every human's day. There's only so many people with a phone. There's only so much time when they're not at work and they're not sleeping to like consume music. Like, and then also if not, or if so, like how do you differentiate yourself, or what does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. It's so interesting because I'm not even sure. I think about that often, literally almost maybe every day, every other day. I think about that. I'm not sure if it's going to be sustainable. I feel like there's definitely going to be a dip. I just think the access to music creation, music's so democratized right now.
Right.
You know, you can upload music from DistroKid. You can make music on your phone on BandLab. You know, you don't need to go to the studio anymore. You don't need deals for a distributor. Yeah. What was the second half of the question?
Like, because the barrier to entry is so low, and if everyone's telling a story about their song, like,
Oh, how do you stand out?
what is it? Is it just put the work in and make great
Yeah,
music? Like, is it just keep
I
iterating
think
the
it's
content? Or
I think it's to get hyper niche. You gotta like really niche down. You know, I think that's why like certain genres are really going crazy. Like regional Mexican, you know, like that's a very hyper, you know, niche, but it's like taking over the charts. You know, funk music, like, you know, the people that like funk music, they can be categorized in a specific cohort, and usually it's spot on. It's like people that they like cars and they like drifting, and they're between the ages of this and this, and they like going here for shopping. It's like you can literally break down. Like I feel like if you emulate yourself or the person that you as an artist want to be, and you break those items down into categories, and like you can really hyper target an audience and
wait, say that again. Say that again.
stand out.
I feel like that's gems. Say it again. If you
So
break
so like
down the
if you break
person you
down,
want to be,
yeah, yourself, or like, you know, if you're just like, you know, a character too. So like, you know, like Abel isn't the Weekend, you know, so he wouldn't write about himself. He'd write about like the Weekend. So if you break down like what you want to be and like what your brand like represents, like
wait,
even
go deeper. So if you break down what you want to be and what your brand represents, meaning like you're not
I
the
would say like,
you're
yo,
not Drake, you're an upcoming artist, or like maybe you have whatever, and you want to be more of a poppin' artist. Are you saying it's then kind of like showing a little bit of the I love NASCAR element, but
yeah,
then
yeah. It's like I'll give an example for Chase McDaniel, just because I know his audience really well. He was the country artist I mentioned earlier that blew up. Um, his would be like uh, soccer moms that have minivans, also love uh drinking beer and NASCAR. Like that's exactly like his target audience. They are literally, you know, 45-year-old women that are
really,
mothers that drives. Yeah, like this is like if you like look at his audience on Facebook and you click through, because they are all middle-aged women that live in the middle of America, and it's literally just, you know, and that's who he targets his stuff to, and that's why he's so successful.
but he didn't. There's no way that he's like, all right, I'm gonna go for the, who's under.
I don't think he realized it at first, but like when that post went crazy, he didn't realize it. And then I think he took a deep dive of like, yo, who's actually commenting on this and who's like interacting with it. And then it's like, you know, you don't even have to click on the profile. You can hover and be like, oh, this is
Right.
this woman's older. This woman's older. This woman's older.
That's
You know?
interesting. I remember.
Especially I feel like that's such a demographic of that's overlooked in music,
For sure.
you
No,
know,
it's a
for
great.
for for newer for newer artists, you know, specifically.
Well
You
said,
know,
man.
of course, like some older artists will obviously like target towards that, but
No, that's true. It's I remember Hobson. Do you remember Hobson?
oh
The
yeah,
rapper.
of course,
So
Illmind.
yeah, so he did a podcast with Dame. They had a falling out, but then they did a podcast together. They started the label together. Long story short, one of the things they talked about, I think it was in that podcast, was how the Gigolo community, which is like the fans that like paint their face and go to shows
Basically like
and shit.
clowns. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they dress like clowns. He blew up amongst that community, and so it's kind of like he didn't intend for that, but then you kind of are like, okay, but I don't know, but then you can also kind of become someone who's pandering to like, you know what I mean? Then you start making music because you don't want to lose your fan. So it's like, although I guess if you're being authentic and they like you because of your authenticity, and then you double down on that, there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
That's
So
wild.
I'd say like for any aspiring emerging artist out there, just like, you know, even ask like the people that fuck with your music the most, just like figure out who they are as a person and then figure out those similarities and their commonalities and then make that your cohort that you're gonna like target to every single piece of content, you know. But you have to do it from an unbiased perspective. You know, you can't like that's the hardest part is like removing yourself out of the equation, you know. That's the hard part about marketing and music is even myself like making content like I'm biased. I'm like, oh yeah, this video is amazing. And then it's not because the hook's ass. And it's not, it takes a friend to be like, yo, your hook was trash. Send me a text. I'm like, well, damn, it's a bias kicking in. Everyone's got it. So yeah.
Well, that goes both ways. I think what stops a lot of artists
Yeah, yeah.
from marketing is like, uh, one, I don't want to do it, but two, I suck at it because I haven't done it probably, and three, they're probably not thinking this is super fire. They're probably thinking this is corny, this is cheesy. I just want to make more music. Like, what do you recommend to reframe an artist who doesn't want to have to make content? Uh, what have you seen?
Dude, this is this is like you if you don't want to make content, you got to be fine with not getting as many streams as, you know, an artist that sounds similar to you. It's like that's just the reality of it. That's like someone asked that to Frank Ocean. It's like, oh, like, you know, touring is how you make all the money. Like how are you comfortable with like, you know, not making as much money as Kendrick Lamar? And he was like, I'm just comfortable with living on less. And I was like, all right, like if you're not willing to make the content,
Interesting.
put in the time, do that. It's just like you got to be okay with it because you're not doing everything it takes to get to the point where everybody else is, you know. And
No,
there's nothing wrong
that's a
with
good
that.
point.
There are
That's a good
artists
point.
like, especially in Atlanta, there's a lot of artists that don't like making TikToks, and like that's cool. But you know, if you want to break the mainstream, if you want to mainstream as in like mainstream of popularity, not mainstream music, it's just the game you got to play. And some games people don't want to play, but um, you know, same thing with like the mysterious vibe where people don't want to be on social media at all. They don't want to have a Instagram. And it's like I work with those people and they're like that's cool, but you just have to be okay with understanding that like your top funnel's gone, man. Like if you're not making TikToks or Instagram posts or whatever, like you have no top funnel. Like now you got to make a new top funnel that won't be as wide as like, you know, where the attention is, which is TikTok and Instagram. Like it goes you like your top funnel is normally TikTok, Instagram, you know, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, and then it goes to like, let's say music video. Then you're just cutting out that
Right.
whole first top funnel if you're not posting on social. And it's like, all right, now how do you get people to click on the music video? That's where your starting point is. And then if they don't want to do a music video, then you know they just it's all fumbled now.
So good. No, that makes sense. I never thought about the fact that Frank never tours, and that adds to the mysteriousness, which I don't think his intention is like, I want to be mysterious. I completely empathize with like hey man, I love making music and I love performing it, but I don't want to deal with any of the shit. I just want to like, and he got to a place where he kind of like, he's good, probably he made it, and he's like, I can either keep kicking the field goal further and chasing an imaginary finish line, or I can be like present and grateful and just focus on the thing I love doing, which is making music and living my life. And like, I don't know him, but I imagine like
No, I
he's
think you nail on the hammer, man. Just based on content. I don't know him either, but like that's what it seems like. He's like, not to cut you off, but it seems like
yeah,
that's exactly what he's doing.
that's it. Yeah, like I really
Good
admire.
for him, man.
Yeah, I
Russ.
well, I was gonna say Ryan Holiday, who like
Uh,
he said this once. He's like, you can be, he's like, you can have like family, work, and the scene, and he's like, you have to pick two. And so some people like have family and they have the scene, but like their work isn't like what you know about them. Some people have work and the scene, but they don't really have that aspect of like, okay, like I have a family like for Thanksgiving or some shit like that I'm building or that I whatever. And then this is a generalization, but I kind of like the idea of like, I don't know. I he's also at a different place in his life. He's got like a wife and kids, and I think like there's different phases and stages in life. I know he was hustling when he was in his 20s for sure, working for Robert Greene and like American Apparel, but it's inspiring to me to kind of be like know what enough is. Although I don't love the ad, I feel like there's a lot of ads on his stuff, but I do. I mean, he's definitely positively impacted me in a ton of ways. There's so many ads. But anyway, like, just the ability for him to, he's like, every morning I get up, I walk 3 miles with my kids every morning and like drive them to school. And then I write for fucking 5 hours, film a podcast, and then I'm home for dinner. Like the idea where it's like, but he also lives like an hour and a half out of Austin and he's just like, it's chilling in the middle of nowhere. Not the middle of nowhere, but it's like most people, you know what I mean? Like it's so easy, I feel like, to get distracted. It's almost like admirable to kind of go that path or the Frank path. I think Kendrick kind of does that too, but he obviously tours way more.
yeah,
That's kind of the point you made.
yeah,
So
definitely.
it's so interesting. That's crazy. Okay, I'm curious your thoughts on artists, conversations that you've had with artists that on balancing creating music and like improving the craft. Because to your point, you could be a hustler marketer and like maybe your music's not great, but like you're fucking hilarious and you know how to make great TikTok content, which is fine. And like you hustle it, you get the streams. Like to your point, it's what's right for you. But like if you do want to make the best shit possible, what's your approach to like? Is it just hey make 50-50? Is it 80-20? Is it what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any specific, because I think it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different creative process. Like I know some artists they like time block and they put time aside. It's like, oh, today's my TikTok day. And it's like sometimes you can't force that creativity though. I think it's like just when an idea flows, you just got to entertain that creativity. Like I just had a TikTok idea, like drop everything and do it right there. Like, it's calling you at that moment. Just do it, And I think it's just always being cognizant though of like, let's say you're making music like, oh, like could this be a TikTok moment of like, I don't know. I think it's just definitely being aware of like, hey, I should be posting. Like, what can I do? Like, can I do something in this environment or today or, within the next few hours and just, always being aware of that. Um, I feel like the more sometimes natural things are, the more they perform better. Because I think
Feel that.
people can tell when things are all nice and proper and, scripted and the lighting's good and captions are well edited. But sometimes it's the lower quality videos that perform the best. And shit, I've even seen that in my personal. I don't think that just applies to musicians. I think it applies for any piece of creative. It's more relatable when it's less polished.
So crazy. What made you want to DM Gary? Like, did you like, or I guess you were already in the space, but I guess I'm curious. Like, did you apply to other jobs on Indeed, or like where was your mind at? I know this is a little bit a while ago now, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. So the thing was, I tried to get an in. I don't know if I told you this. I know I talked to our friend Daniel about this, but I was had internships basically lined up at Sony Music, SB Projects, Scooter Braun, his management company, and Warner Music for summer 2020, and then COVID hit, and all their programs got canceled.
when did you
So that
graduate?
left me with 2021. I say that to say that left me with no experience going in because
Uh,
most of those internship projects were still on pause. And the only other time I could do an internship was in the winter because they
what
only do
was
summer, winter, and they
what
go.
when you're a junior in college, or even like right when you graduated, what was this idea of? Was it Scooter Braun? Was it I'm gonna find the next? I want to find the Beaver, and what was your
Mine
vision of it?
was mine was literally just working at a label doing A&R, and I'm so glad that it didn't happen because now they have friends that work at labels and have had experiences there. They say it's very soul sucking, and you're just a cog in the machine.
Mm.
And um, not to say that I'm not open to it, way down the line. I'm just saying that to say, um, you know, where I was when I graduated college, I don't think it would have benefited me. And I don't think I would have gotten as much knowledge and experience and wisdom as I have working 1 year, 2 years at Vayner than I would have at a few years at a major label.
What are some things you've learned about the music business and yourself along your time at Vayner from your last job?
Um,
Because you have a unique
I
perspective on the music business.
yeah, I think it's really unique because everything that we do, we don't, we're not signing an artist, to a label. We're not contractually obligated to you know
Make your
to
return on
exploit.
investment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like everything we do is really just out of love. It's like we just want to see artists win. And that made me realize like sometimes just like helping others and how that comes around full circle when they help you. Like even if they don't, just like how good it feels just knowing you helped an artist like just achieve their dream. Like even if it doesn't make a huge impact, even if it's just like helping them with like some TikTok support or just ideating and brainstorming. It's like you still help them, and they like it's always like it's just fulfilling knowing that in some little way we help them when um we hear of horror stories where other people like they can't even get a hold of certain people to help that they work with, and it's just like we're more of a team than some other people's teams, which is really interesting.
Do you have do you have any
um
do you have any examples of doing something or being a part of something that you can talk about that you've seen come back? Or a moment where you've been in the room and it's like, oh fuck, that chills.
um
That you can talk about, of course. I don't want to like
yeah. um I think it was recently. I was at a Young Nudie concert, and I met this artist named 2 Feet Bino, and he's a small emerging artist, and he was just on stage, and um, he got off, and I was talking to him. I was like, "Yo, like this is when I used to write at 137 before I started doing like artist engagement at Vayner. I was just a writer at first, a resident. And I was like, "Yo, I used to cover you," and he was like, I don't know. He was like, I was like one of the first people to like probably ever approach him, like, yo, I cover you and I write for you. I thought it was cool just to like actually see him on stage and do that. And then like his other artist, Lil Harold, was also on stage. Um, I was talking to him too after, and he was just like very appreciative of like, yo, that we showed love and support. from the beginning, because this was like a year before he like started. Like now he's going really up, but back then, he was very new. I think I probably covered like his third song ever dropped, and um, yeah, it was just cool to see, cool to see like the rise and the come up, and just knowing that. Oh, also, yo, fucking Tia Corinne, bro, like seeing her on the double XL freshman cover when I was helping out, like I was just pushing paperwork and like making little content ideas. And I didn't do much for this campaign, but it was like Bojangles and Tia Corinne. I played a very small role, very small role. This is like the first like 2 months I started, but at Vanner, but Tia Corinne, she did a Bojangles campaign, and then we had her play at VCon, and now she's a double XL freshman, and we shot her some influencer deals a little bit along the way. Like she did some posts and stuff, and it was just like so cool to see, like, yo, she's getting the shine she deserves, and like it just warms my heart just to see her win. And, like that's all that matters. It's like, yo, we're helping these people, and they're supportive and they're appreciative, and they consider us like parts of their team. Like they know that like they can ask for something, and if it's within our means, and like if it's in our means, and like we can do it, we'll get it done for them because we care about them.
That's super dope.
Even if it's like, yo, nothing to do with making money for the company or anything. It's just like, yo, it's just out of love.
I'm so excited to see what, like, in 20, 30 years, like, the conversation on just all the things. Like, I know that answer will be so different. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's like the stars will connect in some way where it will be like, well, did
Yeah.
this happen? You know what I mean? Like, it'll be.
Yo, we should do it. We should do a time capsule thing where like, yo, you clip something, you schedule, upload it on YouTube for like 30 years, and like whatever. We don't even fucking know. Like, but you saw the thing with Mr. Beast where he did like
Yeah.
he did that thing like high 5 years from now. Like, I don't know. I think that thing was so. I filmed one, and then for some reason, when like I couldn't upload it, I forgot what happened, but
Hmm.
I was pissed.
So what are you like? What makes you trust your ear, and how are you finding these upcoming artists that, like, do you have a website? I remember I used to like look at Digital Drift every day when I got home from school in middle school, and like just I loved finding new music. And sometimes it's to my detriment
Yeah.
because I feel like as someone who creates music, it can be almost like detrimental to be consuming what's new, because then you're like, oh, I love that, I want to do that, and then you're almost chasing trends, or you can be, I should say. And it sounds like what's almost wiser is to like listen to music that's like timeless and has stood the test of time and learn from that. So I try to do both, and also try to like just not listen to anything, just try to just not think and just make shit, um and subconsciously create. But like I don't know. I guess like how sounds like you trust your ear. You even said A&R. Like what made you even get to that place where you felt
Um.
confident in your ear as someone who listens to music? Like,
Yeah. I think it was uh just being like my brother kind of introduced me to some underground hip hop artists. It
older
was like
brother?
Cam Meekins, yeah, older brother. He introduced me like Cam Meekins and Russ, and I was like, and this was like way before both of them ever had a moment, and I was like, yo, like I don't know, I just started being right about some of my predictions in music, where I was like, yeah, Russ is gonna be big. I think even like early Hoodie Allen, I was like, yo, Hoodie's gonna be big, and then continuously like throughout I would just like call artists, and I'm like, yep, like Lil Baby, like even before Lil Baby dropped, like freestyle, like I was like, yeah, like Lil Baby's gonna be hard. Like I didn't know his story, but I knew he was gonna be up. So it's just like I don't know. I just trust it because it's been right, and obviously it's been wrong. But um, beyond the music itself, I look at the story of the artist. I look at who's supporting them, who's managing them, like what teams are they on, who's talking about them, who's pushing them, like do they have the support of their hometown, what's like, how are they selling out shows, how does the crowd react to them, what playlists are they on, all these different factors, because I feel like they all make up this one big story. um for tools, I love Chartmetric. I use it every day. I think it's my best friend. and that's only because I've used it since sophomore year of high school. I'm sorry, of college, and I've learned how to use it to suit how my brain operates, and I use like Spotify playlists, and I use all these different tools. Um, you know, People tell me artists I should be listening to. I ask other people to be like, yo, who are you rocking with? I read every release that comes to my email inbox, even if it's like, a genre I don't even listen to, like folk or like something like that. Like I'll still like look at it because it's still important to like know a story of an artist, and very interesting because now it's like, I don't know. There's so many artists out there, and some of them are like, people start mentioning their names. I'm like, damn, like I didn't even know you knew that person.
Right.
Like, yeah, I didn't even know you listened to that person. Like, I gotta start paying attention now because I listened to, or I found them on like a playlist a few years ago or something like that, and I was like keeping an eye, and then they faded, and then someone mentions them, like, oh, that's a spark right there. I gotta pay attention, check out their profile. Oh, they're having a moment, like, stuff like that.
What are you outside of your love for the music business and marketing? Like, what are you into outside of like what
Uh,
gets you going outside of work, I guess. Outside of
what
music.
gets me going? Yeah, I guess it's like outside of music would be self development, personal improvement. You know, I think that um, it's just a very, uh, I don't know. I think comfort and contentness is amazing and it's cool, but I think that um, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I feel like shit. Like I was put on this earth to do so much more, especially than what I thought originally. And then I started doing these things. I'm like, damn, I could do so much more, and I have so much more potential I can unleash if I just have a little more extra uncomfort. I'm a little more uncomfortable, and I put in extra work and I go through an extra amount of pain, but those rewards always outweigh, the benefits of being comfortable, the rewards of pain. Um, so yeah, personal development for sure. So like, that's a classic like workout reads, discipline, like go to bed early. Like I don't know, like that shit, like I love going to bed early. I was at the club until 4 a.m. at Lavo in New York City because my homie was DJing, and I was like, I'm staying the whole time because that's my homie, like, and I was like, but yo, fuck, I don't want to be here. Like I wanted to be in bed at like 11 p.m. latest. Like that was on the weekend. I love going to bed at like 9 p.m. knowing that I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m., go do a 2 hour workout and then cold plunge, and then I'm gonna go fucking make content for an hour before work even starts, and then like I'm fasting, and then I'm taking my greens and all that shit. Like I fucking love it. Like I don't know, it just fires me up because I don't know.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Tyler. Oh, there
Yo,
we go.
you're oh, you're still frozen. Oh damn. Oh no, never mind, never mind. You're good now.
You said it just fires me up and then you froze.
Oh yeah, it just fires me up because I know you're on that same wavelength too.
Do my best, dude. I appreciate what's helped me a lot is surrounding myself with people like you and like inadvertently, like you said, parasocial relationships, people I just put in my ears through podcasts. But like, you know, I don't know. It's yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun also when you align with people in a way, uh, even if you're going completely different directions, but like there's an underlying direction of like of momentum, uh, like in a productive, I should say, way. Um, I think also like I don't know, like the whole freedom that comes from discipline, uh, that's really
Yeah.
liberating.
it's like, yo, you know, if you take the, you know, if you do the same thing that 99% of the population does, you're going to end up like them. But if you do the 1% that people don't want to do, you're going to end up like the 1%, you know?
What is an
It's just
example?
like
What is an example of that?
99% of the like I think the actual fact is like 90% of people don't work out at least 3 days a week.
Okay. So boom,
So you
just
do,
show up
so
every
you work
day.
out, you show up, yeah, you show up 5 days a week, you're already probably 1%. That's just one area. That's just one, you know,
Just going
one
the extra
subject.
mile. It's going the extra mile and being in the upper percentile, or like in
Yeah.
whatever sense.
Yeah. It's like, yo, probably the same thing for reading. Like probably like 90% of Americans don't read a book every year. You know, you read a book every month and you're probably 1%. Like
Right.
the same thing. Um, same goes for, any positive,
10 pages a day is
action that you want to
a
take.
month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, dude, I love it. It's frustrating when I this sounds weird, but like I recently was in an environment. I think what's frustrating sometimes is when you kind of like immerse yourself into a framework of, like you said, self-improvement. And you give yourself permission to take action, um and ultimately switch certain actions for other actions, and then create your own schedule or whatever, and then crossing paths with someone who has a completely different approach to life. And I think it's important to like remain humble and remind myself that like they can teach me something, uh and not be like, oh, they're not reading, they're not working out, like I don't even care what you have to say, but
Yeah,
also not letting what they say. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to be an
100%.
asshole and just like disregard anyone that's not also on the same path, because then you're in an echo chamber of like, yeah, man,
Yeah,
the extra mile, and it's just you're just a bunch of people just yelling, hey, go the extra mile, but it's like it's contextual.
yeah. I think it's about being self-aware and just like knowing when to turn it on and off, for like turning up the intensity and down the intensity, you know?
That's so hard though, turning down the intensity when you're
Yeah,
going.
I think that comes with the discipline. I think like I finally
Mm,
started to gain that recently, and that's only because I've had the discipline of doing that. But to your point too, it's like yeah, like you don't want to count people out. It's because everybody's like nobody's better than another person. Like
right.
we are literally all human. And it's like everybody is the same and everybody has different perspective and
It's
experiences. And
it's not about being better than someone. I think it's to your point about self-awareness. It's like, who do I want to be? I was listening to, I did a
yeah,
half
I'm just saying
marathon.
because some people do have that perspective, like, oh, I'm better than you because I do this and that, and I'm not going to listen to you. But it's really like that's the wrong way of doing it. Like looking at it, you should be like, we're all equal, but like, what perspective can I gain from you? If
Right.
it's a valuable perspective for me and it makes sense to
Yeah.
my frame.
It's not just blindly doing either obeying, oh, you're saying something, I'm gonna listen regardless, or blindly
Yeah,
disregarding because X, Y, or Z. Try to be
correct. Yeah,
open-minded, I guess, is the key. Um,
exactly.
but yeah, it was Goggins on Rogan. I was doing the half marathon and we were listening to I brought my Bluetooth speaker, and it was me and my brother were listening to the speaker. Um, and long story short, he's like 12-12 Joe Rogan. I was like, what? He's like, that's the so like I put it on, and one of the things that he said, I had heard it, but he said something about, he said, who are you right now? And I felt like that just made that, to me, was just, if you just ask yourself, who am I right now? And who do I want to be right now? Like it's really just break it down to the smallest micro ingredient of like, who do I want to be right now? Do I want to be the kind of person that's doing this? Do I want to be the kind of person, like, get everyone else out of your head. Go in and be like, who, like, who, what was it? Like, who are you right now? Like, who? which I felt like was so good because it's so easy to be caught up in the stories in the past of like, oh, but this happened to me and now I can't, like, oh, my parents were this, oh, like this, oh, like, who are you right now? Like, oh, but okay, who are you right now? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, but like, I don't know. That just fucking really resonated because it's like in the present, you told me about The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, incredible book. Appreciate that, Ray. But like that's ultimately from a spiritual sense, but also from a self-development sense of like that's where all action and change occurs, and life ultimately is in the present. So doing my best, I guess, to just be self-aware enough to be like, who are you right now? Because
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a great question. It's a great question to ask yourself and to ponder.
because you get
Everyone.
There's times where I'm like not sure on the right uh step to take or action to take, and I think that's just such a great framework. Another one is like the deathbed one, which is like, all right, I'm on my deathbed, I'm looking back, am I gonna regret doing this or not doing this?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I think kind of to your point, be okay with a little bit of discomfort. So good.
Definitely, man.
What's
Definitely.
what's something that's like resonated with you? Like what's like surprised you, or what's something that's like maybe left of center that you've been into recently or curious about, or what are you like excited about? What's been on your mind that you're trying to figure out? Like what? Yeah, any of those.
I'm really trying to think left to center because I feel like that's such an interesting topic or interesting area. Um, Something that's on my mind recently is like back to the area of discomfort. It's like, yo, I fucking love fucking. We talked about this today, man, on an earlier call, but I just love fucking hopping in a cold plunge and just embracing it and just fucking like, I don't know, man. There's just something about it. And like I dread doing it for the first like, you know, I dread it
Okay.
actually mostly the whole time, but
Okay, let's talk about this because I think it's
yeah.
I've heard this so much. Okay. When I get in the shower and the water's cold and you wait for it to warm up, that is so frustrating. It's because I think you have this idea and this desire of hot water and you don't have it. So now you're just like, it's colder than it's in your head. It's colder than it actually is. Because
Yeah.
the story you're telling yourself is, I want hot, warm water, and it's not that. And so now
Yeah.
it's horrible. Like but I feel like when you prime
Yeah. I
yourself,
feel like that's even for not even hot water specifically, but like comfort. You know, you can say the same thing about like eating food and you like they give you something and it tastes shitty and you're like, you get frustrated. Or like you think you have expectations that something is gonna go one way. And I don't know, it goes the other and I don't know.
no, you're right. You're right. I mean, yeah, no, it's like we went to a restaurant after the run Saturday, and I feel like if you really don't like something, you shouldn't pay for it. You shouldn't, like, if there's something else you might like on the menu, like why settle? But that also requires, you know what I mean? But there's a fine line between like being an asshole, being a dick, and like you said, having high expectations and never being satisfied, and also being grateful that you have food and that you know what I mean? Like there's a fine line, I think.
Definitely.
But I was happy
Yeah.
that the next thing was even better. But I don't think I would have kept getting another thing. I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like there was a time I went to a restaurant and I like did not like it, and I just forced myself to eat it, and I felt bad because I didn't not complain, but just say something. Like my day to day like job, like music's not there yet. Is serving. If someone doesn't like something, I want them to have a good time. Like, and maybe I'm a different kind of server, but like maybe that hurts the bottom line of the restaurant. But in my opinion, a repeat customer is someone who has a good time at a restaurant. And I'm way more inclined to go back to the restaurant I went to because of the second dish I had, as opposed to if I just settle with that, like 100%. So I don't know. There is something to be said about kind of like speaking up and just you don't get what you don't ask for. You randomly just DM'd Gary, you know, like I don't know. What made you even say that though? And then I want to get back to the cold plunge because I'm digressing.
What made me say it was just like, yo, I just want to add value off the rip. Like
But what?
they capture it. It was a combination of add value and capture attention. Capture attention being first, of course, just like the hook. But like,
But what? Most people have like bold ideas and just never act on them. What made you even think of doing that? Because you said you waited till he was online, or you noticed he was online, and then you did it.
I just had a feeling he would answer, and I had a feeling one day I'd work for him. It was like, I don't know, man. It was just the universe working its magic. So
this is the day after you're in the city. Like that Friday
yeah,
or Thursday, you weren't thinking you were going to work for Gary Vee. You weren't waiting to DM him. This wasn't some plan you had, right?
no,
So you go to the city. You like maybe you're inspired by Casey and you see Gary's videos and you're like, yo, this is it. I want to be here. And then maybe Gary's top of mind now you're in the city. And then maybe you're back home, you're like, fuck this. And then you just see him online. Like, is that it? Or is it one of those things that like there's not always an explanation and it's kind of just like an intuition thing where you're like, hey, I'm gonna fucking send it right now. Whatever.
yeah, man. It was just an intuition thing. It was like one of those things where it was just the timing. Like it just sometimes you just gotta know when the timing feels right and just know when to do it. And that was like one of those moments where like it feels right. I know I want to do it. Like hit that send button, type it out, hit that send button. That was like one of those moments, you know.
Did you doubt? Was there any doubt? I mean, this is a while ago, but where you were like,
Not a single.
You're just like, fuck it.
Not a single. Yeah, I was like, fuck it. Like I didn't have any expectation though. Like I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would answer. Like, but like I don't know. It was like actually I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I just hit send, and then next time I checked my DMs, he responded, and I texted my parents. I texted my whole family. I was like, I think I just got a job with Gary Vee. Like I don't know what's going on. It's like I think I might need to move to New York, and they're like very confused, and I had to call them.
That's so.
Yeah.
That's so sick. That's super dope. Yeah, dude, the spontaneity. I mean, yeah, I mean, we met literally from a TikTok I just happened to have posted, and like, I'm so grateful for our friendship over like the last.
Yeah,
however.
dude, that's the same thing. Like, I didn't comment. I could have saw that video and just scrolled and fuck, like, you know, like this is crazy how sometimes the world works.
Yeah. And then you popped up at the Creator Now event, coincidentally.
That was weird. That was weird, man.
You know what I mean? Like
that was weird. Like I was just about to leave too, and then someone like walked up to me, and so I didn't leave because I was like in the middle of a conversation.
Really, you were about to, yeah, because I think we pulled up a little.
I literally showed. I literally showed up. I was there for maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, just like I maybe talked to two people. And I was like, all right, I'm about to head out. And then one dude walked up to me, really cool dude. Was talking with him. And I'm like, all right, yeah. Once this combo's out over, I'm about to dip. And then I saw you. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, all right, I'm chilling for a bit.
That's so wild.
And then that night, then the following night, you know, we grabbed dinner. I had to meet Daniel. So like, I don't know. It was just crazy. I mean, I met Daniel obviously there, but you know, didn't get to chop it up with him formally.
Yeah. No, it's super dope. Okay, cold plunges.
Cold plunges.
So is it just like expecting, hey, this is gonna be fucking cold, but I'm not gonna be a bitch, and I'm just gonna jump in because that like it is the expectation thing in the shower. Like I when I turn it cold, it's at the end of the shower. I'm like, all right, I've done showering. Now I'm gonna push myself, but like I also don't want to go out and buy ice. So you're saying just fill up a bathtub with just regular water and then put up like what?
Yeah, you don't have an ice machine. Yeah, you don't have an ice machine.
Just from like
in your freezer.
No, you don't have an ice machine, but I can make ice cubes. You're saying just make a bunch of ice cubes, freeze water, and throw it in the water.
I feel like that'd be a lot of ice cubes though to make.
Well, I could freeze water. I could make a bucket of water, and then I mean, I could make like a big ice cube.
Yeah. At the same time, though, how'd you get the ice out of the bucket? That's a different story, but um,
I don't know. The same way you get ice cubes out of ice tray.
yeah, but if it's a big bucket, you can't just like pop it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so but you're saying like about a pound of ice into a bath.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm lucky enough for I'm very spoiled. My gym has a cold plunge. It actually has multiple cold plunges, so I just get to pick and
How long?
choose.
How long do you go in for?
Like 3 to 5 minutes.
What's the
And
degrees temperature?
sometimes it ranges from like 35 to 50 degrees. I try to avoid the ones that are 35, but mostly like 40 to 45 degrees.
How'd you get into it?
Um, so I'd done two cold plunges before then, like back when I was home in Buffalo, my parents' house. There's just a bathtub in my guest. It's not really my bedroom, but guest bedroom. And I just fill it up with coldest water, and my parents' freezer has an ice machine. I just throw ice in there, and I did it one time. And I was like, yo, I feel fucking great. Like, and I saw the benefits after, and
Mm.
they have one here, and for some reason I was always anxious about using that or any of the other amenities. I'm like, yo, fuck this. Like, I'm just gonna use it. I think it was last week. I literally decided like, yo, I'm gonna use it, um and yeah, I went in and it sucked, but I felt amazing after. And um just the benefits, like I still feel amazing from it, like even to this like hour, like I did it like maybe 12 hours ago and I'm still feeling good. And like I don't know, just kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but I just feel amazing throughout the whole day.
Do you do
And
Wim? Do you do Wim Hof breathing? Do you go, or like what are you?
not
What's your
exactly
approach?
his
You're
style,
just
but
like,
I am yeah, I'm doing the same type of like breathing, but it's not like Wim Hof style. It's be like, I'll do deep breaths and like the in out, like, but you know, I think it's just controlling your breath, realizing like, your body's just reacting this way because, it thinks you're dying, but you're actually not. You're fine. You can literally be in here all day and you'd be okay. Like, I like you're fine. Just stay in and keep breathing and you're good. And yeah.
I'm gonna have to look more into that because that
Dude,
sounds
I feel
amazing.
like I swear to God, like I do a cold plunge and like in the morning, nobody can ruin my day. Like
Mm, fuck.
it's just
Okay.
like, yo, you just
I'm about to start making some bowls of ice, bro.
do it. Dude, they
Yo,
got they got they got some ones for you that you can get and put outside, and they got some I think it's Polar
yeah, but they're
Plunge is a
kind of like
brand or
they're
like
like a grand, right?
I don't know. I don't know how much they are.
I gotta look into it.
Could be.
Into
They
it.
probably are. It's probably not the best.
Investment. Yeah. So I think I'll try to finesse the ice at some point. Um, but yeah, okay. I'll
There's
ask you.
there's one that's $99.
Really?
It's a portable one, yeah.
How? But what? I don't understand the ice. Where do you get? How does it portable? Is it just like a tub, like a trash can, and you just fill it up with water and
Yeah, it looks like a
ice?
little like I don't know how the ice part works, but I don't know. Definitely something to look into though. I
Dude,
digress.
I know I definitely will. That's definitely one takeaway. The other thing I wanted to say, I want to ask a couple more questions and we'll wrap up. But I want to say too, like I
Cool.
feel like I had some sense of intuition and I told Carlo this too when we chopped it up that I hesitated reaching out to him because I just feel like it's like this is not normal to just to do this. Like, it's not normal to be like, hey yo, uh let's record a conversation that we have normally. But like I feel like I'm really happy. I don't know. Midway through our conversation, like I realized like I was able to dive deeper with you about a lot of music things that you know about from just in the fucking trenches approach to your day-to-day reality and passion and love of it that like I wouldn't normally get just from talking to you, you know what I mean, like an hour a week or whatever it is. So I appreciate you making the time to do this. And
Of course, man. I appreciate you for
I've learned a
having
lot
me on.
already just from this convo, and I'm sure if and when people check this out that they'll get something out of this too. So I appreciate you.
Likewise, brother.
Oh yeah. All right. What is the worst piece of advice you ever heard?
Worst piece of advice I ever heard was to not follow your passion.
Mm.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like so common for, the crypto, like, the mogul like influencers are trying to like sell you a course and they're like, oh, anytime I talk to a person that owns a private jet, I was at the stewardess, what they do? And it's like they sell concrete, they do construction. And it's like, man, like life's too short to worry to life's too short to do something you fucking hate every day, man.
Mm.
Like if you want to be a fucking dancer, like go be a dancer. Like do everything in your fucking power to do that. Because if not, then you're always gonna be I feel like the crippling like what if is way worse than you know than that like I don't know, dude. It's like, yo, imagine like I knew going into switching majors from comp side and music industry how hard the entertainment industry as a whole, not even just music, but like entertainment in general is. It's probably one of the hardest like industries to break for the talent in it for the business side. I was just like, like I can't even imagine myself being, a comp sci major, dreading my life every day, just wondering what I would have, what if I made that jump and switched to music business. Like life's just too short, dude. Like 100 years really is not even a speck of dust on this timeline of human history, and like you can be taken away at any second. Like,
Facts.
anybody can die at any second. And it's like just do what you fucking love and be grateful you can just be grateful for the day and that you could do it each day if you are. And if you're not, then make efforts, make efforts to do what you love, because that's just I just couldn't imagine, man. And
Definitely. No,
yeah,
it's that is similar justification for going to New York. Like I had no plan. I was just like, yo, I just need to be there for some reason. I had a compulsion to be in New York. I had no job lined up. I had nothing. I was literally living just basically on my credit card, like a dumbass. But I just needed to get out, just from like a place of like survival almost. Like my soul was just, I just needed it. And if I never did that, you know what I mean? Oh, what if I always said I want to live in New York for a year. And like, I'm so fucking happy I did. Like, to your point, like, bro, I don't post that TikTok. We don't meet, you know what I mean? Like, even like there's these just the little things that line up. So I concur. Okay, then what's the best piece of advice you've ever heard?
best piece of advice you ever heard. Um, This one was told to me on my first day by my boss, my mentor, Mike Boyd, and it's kind of a corny one, but I still do it to this day. But I think even Gary does it too. But it's never say nice to meet you. You always say nice to see you. Just a little tip, because you never know who you've already met, and you meet so many people in the industry that it's just
If you
just a
forget,
better
yeah.
yeah.
Good to see you. Yeah, I always say it's good to it was good to see. It's good to see you. Oh, it's good. Yeah. So no, that's right. Like, how do you say it? It's nice to see you.
Good, yeah, nice to see you. Good to see you. Like even when people say meet you, like I don't know. I've come across that where someone's like, "Yeah, nice to meet you," and I'm like, "I met you before, but okay." Like,
So if someone walked up to you and was like, and you just met them, you would still
yeah,
say it's
this,
nice to see you. It was good to see you.
yeah, yeah,
Like you just met them at this show you went to. They go up like, "Yo, how's it going?" Boom, you chop it up. Name's Jimmy. Tyler, was nice to meet you. Yeah, Jimmy, it was nice. It was good to see you. That's Even though
Yeah.
it sounds a little weird, just the habit of just saying that as opposed.
Yeah, 100%. It's maybe not the best piece, but it was the first that came to mind. I guess the other one is like, obviously your network is your net worth, and it probably took me my first year of working here to like realize that. And you know, I guess I'm jumping to another one, but who you surround yourself with is who you're going to become. You are some of people you're closest with. So, um, make sure that you have a good network of people that support you and want to see you win. And it's built off authenticity and it's genuine, it's vulnerable. Like these are the people that you should be able to count on. And if you have like if you ever need anything or you have problems or anything like that, like you should be able to count on certain group of people. I'm lucky enough that like Zach, you're one of those people for me where like I know I can count on you. Hopefully vice versa, you can count on me. Um and yeah, I guess those are a few pieces, but there's just so many different things out there.
Definitely. Bro, I'm so grateful for you. I'm glad we got around to doing this, and I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited for, bro, like I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I said this to Carlo too, but like I know you're just getting started. Like you're at the pre-party, like really 30 years from now is gonna be fucking sick. I mean, we all are, right? Like it's like we're all just gonna die. So it's like we're all just doing shit. We're all just out here doing shit.
That's some real perspective. Yeah.
But it's like I just know, like, bro, like it takes fucking whatever 20-30 years, and then it's like bro, Gary was what 35 when he posted his. I showed my brother this the other day, like 17. I think it was 20. Maybe it was over 20 years ago. No, he just turned 16, and it was 17 years ago. Episode 1 of Wine Library TV, and I was like, you see Gary Vee now, and you want to be like, and I think it registered to him because I was like, dude, like he started posting content when he was 35. Like patience. It's just so hard. You see people just killing it, but it's like that's where I think, to your point, having those people around you that are like along the way, that's just like yeah, no, it makes the process that much more meaningful and fun. So I appreciate you for real.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the time.
Of course, man. Of course. I want to leave people on the note that the destination isn't the reward, the process is the reward, and it's gonna suck and it's gonna be terrible and you're gonna have a lot of doubts along the way. And I'm still in the process, so I still have those doubts, and it's part of the whole learning process, but it's gonna make you a better person and it's gonna take a long time. But just keep persevering, keep doing what you want to do, follow your passion, fuck what anybody else says about that piece of advice, follow your fucking passion. And you'll get there. And yeah, I really think everything is just like, it's really just time inputs, it's really just how much time you put in. It's really all it is. Like
it's just if you just don't stop, like if you just keep fucking going and you keep learning and you just do your best,
it's like it's just math, bro. It's just math.
At
like
a certain point, something's gonna,
yeah, it's literally math, bro.
And you can't plan that. All you could do is show up every day, right? Like that's what I love about having accountability and people holding me accountable and people that I know are also doing incredible things that push me. It's like, just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Like, just like, dude, I'm running a half marathon. That's 13.1 miles. Like, I just need to take one step, just one more step. And then eventually you get there.
One foot in front of the other.
That's the metaphor, is like at one point you were here and then you got here. And it's just if you just keep going. Like Casey Neistat said, like you're here, your goals are here. The space between is work. The more work you do, the closer you get to like. So
yeah,
I don't know. I appreciate you. I'm enjoying the process.
Likewise, brother. Hell yeah.
Keep going. All right. That's it. Peace.
Appreciate you.